Sirach chapter 39, verse 1. But he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High, and is occupied in the meditation thereof, will seek out the wisdom of all the ancient, and be occupied in prophecies. I want to give all praises and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahawashi, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Yasharallah, and salutation to the Akim throughout the four corners of the earth, preaching the truth and sincerity, and keeping the faith of Yahawashi and the gospel. This is Hawa Ya'ala. Just kind of going into a lesson just concerning, basically, what we should be focusing on, which is basically being occupied, in this knowledge and this truth. And, also just kind of, more of a, exhortation for brothers to make sure that they're on top of, what's going on, make sure they're on top of the scriptures, make sure they're on top of the news, and they're being watchmen, because how you spend your free time is going to basically really determine, what kind of man you really are in this truth, man, especially being here in Babylon, because there's a lot of distractions here. And, man, there's so many things here that could basically pull a man's mind away, from this truth, and, that's actually, distraction is a military tactic. All right. And that's the reason why there's so many distractions here, because the more you can distract someone, the more surprised they're going to be when all hell breaks loose. All right. And, that's why Yahawashi says, commanded us to watch, man, and talks about coming as a thief of the night. All right. But the ones who are, occupied in meditating on these scriptures, on prophecies, following current events and following what's going on, they're not going to be taken by surprise. They're not going to be taken by surprise because of the fact that they've been focused on these things. And it's more than just basically, just knowing about some of these things and, okay, yeah, I know this such and such is going on. You even got 2/3 Jakes that know, oh yeah, they might try and do something to us, or whatever. They're seeing like these Trump rallies going on and they feeling the tension, that's brewing, and they know that something might pop off. But at the end of the day, they really don't know what's really going on. But we have the spirit, and mind of, Yahawashi, and we know that there's different things that are supposed to occur because we believed on his words. All right. So just kind of going in, this is the 1 Corinthians 15 and 58. It says, therefore, my beloved brethren, be ye steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord. All right. So that's what we're supposed to be, man. We're supposed to be steadfast and unmovable. We're supposed to basically hold our position, man. We remain diligent, on these things, and making sure that we're always abounding in the work, meaning that you should be doing something that should be pushing forth, all right, towards the work of the Lord, man. So anything that you have going on, it's kind of like things have to a lot of times take a back seat. Really, if you're a man of the Lord, everything is going to take a back seat, everything's going to take back to you. You're going to basically make this your number one priority. So you're going to have that mindset if you're really of the elect. All right. And the scriptures, is very plain and simple that the elect is going to be basically, continuously, constantly, doing the work in one capacity or another. That doesn't mean you're going to be on the block every day, but there's going to be different things that you're going to be doing that's going to basically on a daily, day to day, that's going to be building you up, whether it's learning a little bit more about something, right? Whether it's basically, being brotherly, be able to basically, add more to another brother. All right. And you're able to comfort one another as well with the word. You might be basically just doing other stuff, just within your camp, or you just might be basically doing things such as, prayer or meditation on the scriptures, whatever it is. All right. So those are all part of the works of the Lord. All right. And it says, for as much as ye know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord. All right. So basically, we should have that mindset that the labor that we're doing, all right, whether someone is watching or not, that it's not in vain. All right. So it's not about just having it seen to the world on camera, but things are also works done, and manifested, just in the spirit, man, of just doing the work, because you're really the main person that's really watching you is, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahawashi. As it's written, it says his eyes are 10,000 brighter than the sun. All right. So that's really who's basically keeping account of your labor. All right. Not man. All right. So the full account of your labor is going to be what's going to be kept up, all right, by Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahawashi, that you may hopefully be able to obtain salvation through, your faith and your good works as well. Now, when you go, into Sirach 38 and 24, it says, the wisdom of a learned man cometh by opportunity of leisure. All right. So a man that's wise, the reason why that man became wise, because he used the opportunity of leisure. Now, when you go into the word for leisure, this is in the etymology.com. It says early 14th century, leisure, right? Opportunity to do something. Also, times at one's disposal. All right. So when you're away from the plantation, that's now, if you're a man of the Lord, your mind is probably going to say, you know what, I'm off. I'm going to use some of this time that I have to myself to basically get into this knowledge. All right. And to basically meditate on the scriptures, to do things that are actively pushing towards getting the kingdom. So that's the mentality. Of course, brothers, you got family, you got, other things that you might have to do. But we're talking about when you have true free time, spare time, it should be used primarily into this work. All right. So that's the reason why that men that do become wise in this truth, this reason why they become wise is because they spend time trying to get wise and get understanding. It's not like someone just you just get it all. Yeah, you can get a lot of it, but it's going to come through spending time and meditating on the scriptures, seeking out the wisdom of the ancients. So you got to basically do those different things. And that's how someone's going to be able to get that wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that's going to basically be, the stability of your times, that understanding of what's going on. That's the reason why over time you start to see things and you start saying, you know what, this has to happen. This has to happen. Okay, that's going to happen. You're not going to get bugged out because your family doesn't get this truth, or your friend that you grew up with or whatever. All right. Or even your wife. You're not going to get bugged out because you're going to have understanding of different things. A lot of times, a brother might get upset or at something that's, going on out in the world, and might not fully understand it because maybe they haven't had the full understanding of the scriptures, especially someone who is younger in the truth. Because sometimes when you first get in and you're younger, you start thinking in a carnal fashion and not start seeing the spiritual aspect. When you see things in a spiritual level, then that's when you can suffer patiently. In your patience, possess your souls. You're going to be willing to suffer for a season, understanding the wisdom that certain things must come to pass, all right, before you can obtain the kingdom, So through much tribulation shall we enter into the kingdom. But that understanding comes with knowledge and wisdom, all right, which you obtain through, spending that leisure time. When you have your times at your disposal, you're meditating on those things. Now it says further on, it says capacity, permission, leisure, spare time. All right. Free will, idleness, inactivity. So you got nothing going on. You're not working. All right. You might not be with your woman. All right. You might not even have a woman. So guess what? I mean, even for those, for brothers that don't got a woman, you should be spending a lot of your time with Sophia. Okay. And if you know who Sophia is just the Greek way of saying wisdom. So you should be spending a lot of time in the scriptures, meditating and learning those things while you have, as much free time as possible, because if you're a brother that doesn't have, wife, kids, you're not, you don't got those other things that you got to take care of, which you got to spend time on, then you got a lot more free time to basically, obtain your knowledge and wisdom and understanding. And basically be able to be edifying to other brethren that maybe not have the time, to where you could basically help other brothers close the gap of time that they might have, because now you've been able to go into something and now you're able to bring some edification on a topic because you use your free time to basically acquire some wisdom and knowledge that you would impart to another brother. All right. And that's basically how this brotherhood works, man, is that, within the brotherhood, you're going to basically, learn from one another, and you're learning a lot of times from one another because that other brother spent that leisure time obtaining wisdom in something. Now he's able to share that fruit with you. All right. And we're able to just do that all within the brotherhood, So when you go further on, it says, that word there as well. When you go into Sirach 38 and 24, it says, and he that hath little business shall become wise. Now this is right here is a colon. All right. I'll do a lesson, on the colon, but basically this is what what this is basically just letting you know it's like an equal sign. It's like basically you're on both sides just saying the same thing, but it's explaining it in another way, right? So he that hath little business shall become wise. All right. So now when you go into the word for business, all right, business, the word there means in etymology, care, anxiety, occupation. Because when you think about the word business, the short form of it is busy, right? So if someone's busy, that means that you're occupied. Okay. So if you have little business, you have little work that you're doing, or you don't have anything going on at the time, you have leisure time, you're freed up. So when you're freed up, you become wise. Now you're able to get into the scriptures, you're able to meditate. If brothers want to learn some Hebrew, they can learn Hebrew in their spare time. If they want to learn the Paleo, the Syrian, they can learn that. If they want to learn some history, watch documentaries. If they want to basically be able to go through, different books within the Bible, they can get that understanding. If they want to sit down and watch, lessons, from other brothers as well, they got that. They got that time. If they want to watch news, read news, that's the time to do it. They would have that time. So now they're becoming wise because they're using that leisure time. So part of this whole thing about, basically growing in this truth is understanding how to utilize your time that you have. All right. And basically understanding that time is short, and taking advantage of the time that you have today. All right. And just basically focus on what you need to get for that day, and then let the next day take care of itself. But making sure that you're impacting each day and growing further and further in this truth. All right. So just kind of finishing off the lesson, this is Galatians 6:7. Be not deceived, Yahweh is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. For he that soweth to his flesh shall of the flesh reap corruption, but he that soweth to the Spirit shall of the Spirit reap life everlasting. Okay, so that's, plain and simple, man. It's the laws of sowing and reaping. If you're basically putting forth your mind towards, spiritual things, you're going to reap spiritual things. You're going to grow spiritually, and you're going to continue to reap that way. But if you're sowing towards, the flesh, and you're not basically trying to put your mind towards, the Spirit, then you're going to reap the corruption that comes from sowing into the flesh. All right, so that's basically just an understanding, make sure how are you using your time, man. You got to know how you're using your time, and you got to know how to use it wisely, and basically also within all of that, maintain a proper balance as well. Verse 9, it says that let us not be weary in well doing. All right, so because the flesh, it fights against the Spirit, right? Because what happens is sometimes the flesh is like, look, you're doing, your well doing is not something the flesh wants you to do. Well doing as far as spiritual things. All right. So basically it's going to fight against that. It's going to make you want to say, you know what? I don't want to do anything. I don't want to do, things that are spiritual. Your flesh is going to start to try and do that. It's going to try and, your old man is going to try and make a comeback if you get weary. All right. So you got to check that old man and basically continue to flow in the Spirit. All right. It says, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. All right. So in due season, and the season is coming upon us that we're about to basically reap. And it's very obvious, man, just pursuant to the prophecies and the things that are going on. So as long as we continue to do those things, man, we're not going to we should not fail, man. As long as we continue to remain diligent, it says in the book of Peter, it says, if you do these things, you shall never fail. That's, as far as in talking about being the diligence to make your calling and election sure. All right. So, we got to continue to press on, man, especially as time's coming short, man. We're really in the fourth quarter push, or we're really in the closeout section of the game right now. So this is the time to really push forward, and that's why, this is known as the year of the push, is because it is really the time to push for a close, knowing that the time is getting very short. All right, for us to basically be able to, hopefully have been counted worthy to be, considered the elect and be delivered. It's a very, very pivotal time, in the history of the world. Really, this is the most pivotal time of the history of the world that we're entering in. And we're actually, when you look at it itself, you got to look at it. This is our last, incarnation before the kingdom. So at this particular point, this is it, man. This is really it. We don't have no other chance, man. This is actually your most pivotal time of your life, man. Period, man. I mean, all the other times, we don't know who we were in the past, but all the other times don't mean nothing like it does now in terms of basically being, men of Israel, man. It's real heavy time. So we got to ensure that we kind of keep that mindset, and that we continue to exhort one another, daily to basically keep our eyes single on the task of hand, which is, earning this kingdom, man, and, being delivered hopefully by, Yahawashi. So again, I want to give all praises and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahawashi, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Yasharallah, and salutation to the Akim throughout the four corners of the earth, preaching the truth and sincerity, and keeping the faith of Yahawashi and the gospel. Shalom.